The mother was angry and could not believe her husband's plans for the family. She thought he was ridiculous. Her 8-year-old son was confused and didn't understand why his stepfather would ask such a thing. Why was he punished? What had gotten into his stepfather's head? Charlie Green loved school like any other 8-year-old kid. Book in hand, he was his mother's pride and his friends adored him. But he started acting when his parents divorced and didn't take the breakup well. He was still struggling despite his father's efforts to be a part of his life. And things would only get more challenging. Mary Green did everything she could as a single mom and tried to give the world to Charlie. She even took another job to better take care of him. Despite knowing her situation, the 8-year-old was still a handful to Mary. Things weren't always easy for her, and her happy life would eventually be disrupted. It was a long time before Mary fell in love again. She had fallen in love with a man who worked at her job as a waitress and found him charming, attentive, and kind. It seemed like she couldn't find any flaws. Charlie seemed to hit it off when they met and soon enjoyed the new presence in the house. How long would that take? Would the man stay? Or would Charlie burst into tears? Mary and her boyfriend were soon engaged and had a beautiful wedding ceremony to mark their union as a family. It was a stunning event. Everyone seemed happy for the newlyweds, and as excited as they were, there was someone who felt different. Marie never expected what was around the corner. Mary felt like she was on cloud 9. She had found love again, and they were happy together. She thought she made the right decision because her husband had taken their son in from the start. He had become Charlie's stepfather and was doing his best to be a role model. It wasn't easy when the boy didn't fully accept him, but things would change for the whole family. It had only been a few months since they were married when Marie's husband lost his job. By the end, he was so depressed that nothing seemed to lift his spirits. Charlie saw how his stepdad was feeling, and his mental state soon took its toll on the boy. The family was struggling, and to make matters worse, their finances were running low. Things began to improve for the family when Mary's husband found employment. They celebrated the good news in a restaurant, and everyone was in good spirits. But something still stood in the way. No matter how hard the man tried to connect with Charlie, the boy still struggled to accept him as a father. Since the couple was doing much better financially, they decided to give Charlie an allowance. They felt he deserved it. His stepfather told Charlie he would give him $100 a month if he helped around the house and did chores. The boy was more than happy with the arrangement. He could buy his toys and video games with his own money. Little did Charlie know, however, that his stepfather had other plans in mind when he offered him the pocket money. The boy was stunned and wondered what he had done wrong. Mary was stunned too. Her husband hadn't told her what he was up to after giving Charlie his pocket money and couldn't believe what was happening. The stepfather stated that he wanted to bill his 8-year-old stepson $20 a month for living expenses. Since the boy was getting a $100 monthly allowance, that's where the money would come from. Charlie didn't agree with this rule, but what could he do? He would risk losing all his pocket money if he protested too much. That's where his mother came in. However, the stepfather wanted to charge the boy $20 a month for living expenses despite his mother's negative reaction. That would still leave the boy $80. His mother thought something was wrong with that. He was just a kid, so his money should be his. The man wanted to teach him about money management, which was very important to him. He hadn't expected it to backfire like this. Then Mary asked, what would happen if he didn't pay? Would you throw him out of the house? The questions confused the man. The woman was definitely against the measure. She believed that it was too young to face such a responsibility and that it could negatively affect him in the future. It just wasn't a good idea, and she didn't want to see it put into practice. The mother argued that telling an 8-year-old that his basic needs were not being met could cause many problems. It can be a traumatic experience to be 8 years old and feel like your parents are not taking care of you, that you are a burden to them, and that you have to pay for your place in their life and home. The boy's home should be his safe place. Money management was important, but it wasn't the best way to go about it. Eventually, the stepfather gave in and reached a compromise with the mother. They decided to secure the boy's financial future in a different way. Instead, the two parents opened a savings account for the boy and deposited a fixed amount for his age every month, and leave Charlie's pocket money untouched. To protect the privacy of those depicted, some names, locations, and identifiers have been changed and are the product of the author's imagination. Any resemblance to actual events or places, or persons living or dead, is purely coincidental.